you'd simply look at this and you'd see it moving up. And so fine, you have your trend breaks there, and then you'd have this fan out to here. This, which I'm assuming just didn't have the breakout in the future in the right time frame. It just didn't hard close on a relevant enough time frame. So it's just creating kind of a downtrend here, right? Maybe let's switch time frames to an hourly here. You can see that's that moment where that interior trend breaks, right? Like you can see, so how we created that, it probably simply just didn't close on a big enough time frame. Like this hard close here probably simply didn't happen on the 4 hour or some time frame, right? Like you can see it, yeah, the 4 hour time frame, right? So you can see where it didn't hard close. But then if you go into this move, you can see this interior trend was completely unencumbered by all the larger trends. It's just simply an interior moment to decide if this trend here, it's just simply an interior moment where this trend here is existent without infraction of the larger events, right? Like it's not fractured off of bigger pieces. It's not a smaller piece of a larger piece. Rather, it is simply just, and what we're going to do since we can't see what's going on here, rather it is just its own independent piece, just like up here, you would have a fracturing like this, right? And so fine, you could say this is your larger trend, but what's going to dictate breaking that larger trend is a more interior trend. So we're on a 15-minute chart here. So you could simply do something like this on a smaller time frame. I'm assuming this is the swing high, which it is, and you are going to have a hold level, something in this range here. Like I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's this one. I'm not sure. This looks kind of like it would be the start of this valley here, something like that. Really not important there, because actually it could even come down to this breach down here and hit that before it breaches back up. But this is completely independent of anything else. We don't even need this one here to know that that's the point. We could simply put that there and say the hold level is here. So this is going to be hit. Oops, the hold level here is going to hold the move down and create a microcycle, right? So and that hold level's hit, which actually gives you your next trend right here. Come on, right here to here. Completely unencumbered by anything else. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to leave this hold, put that trend back because we know it's there. And this is just like a larger piece, right? This is completely unencumbered by anything else. Simply has a large enough time frame ladder, right? Create this from here to here. When you break over this, I'm assuming you're going to have your move up, because you have to think about, okay, the same questions we asked before. How much viscosity does the move have, right? Because on the bottom side of this, look what's happening. You have distribution to distribution. So on the top, you have, okay, we've broken 1, 2, 3. The viscosity of this trend is getting rather low. You have broken this and adapted it to here, right? And you have a trend. So this is actually also broken 2 times, and this is broken 3 times on top. So you have, and I would even wonder if this has really broken. So actually the trend is from here to right here on a larger time frame, which we can say on an even larger time frame, it's actually probably to this low right here. This is just like experience. So this is probably going to line up on the hourly nicely. Yep. So that's the point right there. So that's just, my own experience that I know how to do that. Chart without charting kind of thing. So simply you're here to here, which gives you your trend. And this trend hasn't really been broken, but like this on a larger time frame, I can tell this is broken just because of the sharpness of the way it's fallen. So I don't have to work through time frames to see this is broken once, twice, and about to break 3 times. So really all we're doing is testing the viscosity of this upper trend, which is the viscosity of the larger trend, the local testing, the global, and so forth to have a larger move. But really what you're being shown here is that you don't have to have a fracturing to see this point. This is simply an interior moment that's testing an exterior moment. So the fracturing here is the exterior moment locally, which is still an interior moment on its own. But inside of this small piece right here, this is local and global, right? And that's fine. All interior, all very local, all irrelevant, all destroyed once we just move over top of it. It's something that can live for 1 minute. It can live for 5 minutes. It can live for, if you're using 1 second candles, it can live for 1 minute. If you're using 5 minute candles, it can live for 3 hours. But it's completely unencumbered. That's the most important piece to understand here. Is it's completely unencumbered from everything else. So still ask yourself the same questions. How much viscosity does it have? Because simply look what you're doing here. You have a base that's breaking over an origin point here. Back test the origin. You create your 1, 2, 3, 4, so forth and so forth. So you're creating a ladder, and really it can actually go to its final low, which is right here, which will create its own final hold on top of this origin, right? So then you come here and you see if it's going to break over, and maybe we'll do a 5 minute chart here. I think a 5 minute chart's a little more relevant to do. So we can see how the trend is working, right? And this is the great thing about interior trends. Again, they're completely unencumbered. So I would assume if this is hard closing now, it's probably going to have, a rather large move. And it does. It actually goes right to its trend, which is perfect. Like it's actually absolutely perfect. Interior moment that's deciding the future, right? You haven't hard closed it yet. And there's the hard close there. So, and I would even wonder if that's time frame relevant here on the 15-minute. You actually didn't hard close it. You actually do have the move up because again, the viscosity of this upper interior moment is reducing as this trend on the bottom is continuing to hold, right? So we're on the 15-minute time frame, and we never have actually hard closed a 15-minute trend here. Rather, all we've done is broken 1, 2, 3 trends here, testing the upper range of this. So then, you have this moment of polarity where it's like, okay, well, clearly we can see what's happening, right? We can clearly see that this interior moment is breaking, right? You can go to a larger time frame here and you can see, okay, well, it actually hasn't technically hard closed. So what is it trying to do? Well, most likely it's trying to hold the level from back here, which is going to be somewhat closer on your interior chart, which would be this kind of, where's the final hold? Let's see. Is this the final hold? So let's go here and we'll see. I haven't done this. This is too new. I haven't charted anything today. So I'm kind of just walking through this with the moment right now. So this is tested. So we're going to delete it. We know it's tested. We know this low has been tested here. Okay. That creates this here, which has been tested. So I don't think there's anything inside of this range that's untested. I can go here. This does definitely look like all of this range is tested. We can go here. This isn't tested. So this is tested. So this is kind of like this moment here to the final low here. So has the final low been hit? If it has, then we can create our final hold, right? It actually does get hit right there in a big way. Let's just play this out here first. And that can create our final hold of the move, right? So this can create kind of like our final hold inside of this move. So we can actually move this over and give us our final hold level. So once this breaks here, which is this here, and this is actually just holding the backside. Select that, and put the backside here. So this is actually just holding the backside of a move. And I wonder if there's something even larger time frame here. So right here, yeah, it's actually just holding the backside of the move. So this is a different type of level, and that's fine. We haven't gone over that, which is creating the final hold in the move, which is kind of controlling the collapse of this move down into the smaller ranges. But again, this is beautiful because this is an interior moment that if we leave all our interior information on our charts, we simply have, and then this is broken and this is no longer good, and so we have the final level, which gives us our final hold, and this is tested. That's tested. So you simply have, this is the unencumbered level here, and the greediest point kind of here. But we're just going to leave that because it's not really important. But I think you guys and girls can do that on your own. But you can see the final moments of, like, I'm assuming here, if we go here and go to 1 minute charts, you can see where this is trying to capture that interior moment, right? You can see where it's trying to capture that interior moment. And once it does, you've got a grouping of candles here that's trying to get over this moment. Once it does, the next hour hard close, I'm assuming, is going to have rather large move up, which it does, because you're hard closing an interior moment. And that's kind of dictating this upper range here and saying, okay, here's the greediest untested leg. And you probably have something even in this range here as the final low. So now we can even go to our interior moment and say, okay, where's the final low? So what we actually want to do now is we can get rid of this, because we're just doing the same thing on the top side, right? We're just doing the same thing, and we can say, okay, so that's the base of the candle. So there could be something in here. That's very close to being tested. I'd actually like to see deeper time frames. That's tested. This is tested right here. This is kind of a final tested level. So really, you should actually already be breaking this move. Is there something else we're not seeing? Not really. Like, you basically have to hold this hold level right here, or the move is broken. I mean, we can go and see if there's something inside of this right here. This is, like, it's not technically tested, but I guess this is like the final moment. Once this breaks, it's completely polarized. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to go to a 4-hour chart and hit play here. Let this move catch up a bit. We do break over the local level. Okay, we definitely went too far here. 72.91. Yeah, this is like 72.91 is like, I wouldn't even try. I don't even know if I would trust this level, because it's just like, it's kind of already, everything's already tested. So, why this thing breaks up. Yeah, I mean, it makes complete sense. Like, your last untested level here, don't even have one, because this is tested. This is tested there. So you have like this right here. 7246 is untested. Like this is kind of like your only untested level. Because like this is tested. You can see that's clear. So this is not going to hold the move. This has already been tested. That's not going to hold the move. This has already been tested. That's not going to hold the move. You either have something in here and those are all tested there. So I'm looking right here and saying, okay, well, this can create the final low of the move. So if this goes, the move is gone. So I think that's it. That's it right there. So that has to create the final low. Gonna fan out from here. Now we can delete those. That's fine. If it's not going to pick the right point for us, we'll just delete the ones that it doesn't. Nope, another one gone. Let's try one more time. Nope, another one gone. That's fine. I'm sure there's a better way I could have done that. So that would have created the final low right there. And if this is lost, the move is collapsing, right? So we can go here and see what happens on this here. Because it's just simply the final level that's untested, right? Like it's going to create the final low of the move. Yeah, so you can see that it does have a pullback. It's only a few dollars away and has a pullback and probably just holds its own interior range, right? Like I would assume that you have this to this breaks once and it actually just breaks right over top of the level. And actually at this point, you're just looking at trends like this and saying, breaks this, have a small move up, forget small, Jesus. But it makes sense why it breaks, right? Like why it takes such a ridiculous move up, because it created, again, we just go back to what we talked about with defining trends, and we can flip this and we can say like the only untested level creates the final low, which will create the final hold, and it just completely loses it. So this is, of course, it's going to slip through the world here because it's a moment of polarity, right? Like look at how crazy it goes. It just slips right through to the next range. Like it just completely breaks its range and goes right to the next range, because at that point, like all of this stuff was even tested in here. Even these larger pieces that like I'm certain that this stuff would have all been tested. Like right here, that's tested. You go deeper into the range. Is this tested here? That's tested. Is this tested? No, but this is also, the range is already being, like, are you going to go 72.94 and then stop at 73.43? I suppose it's possible. We can see if the greediest part of the range here was respected at all, if it just slipped right through and it wasn't even respected. But to be fair, it makes sense because, even here, you go to this 4-hour level and the range is being tested. So this range from the bottom of this to the top of this is being tested based on this trend. But really the key moment is understanding where that trend interaction is. So, you can even go to the hourly, say like, okay, well, the range exists from the backside here to the front side here. So the front side is tested, the backside is tested. You have like a greedy micro level, but if you have a backside already tested and a front side already tested here, it's like, okay, well, yeah, don't be shocked when this doesn't hold the move. Like, don't be shocked when your interior trends break, your final low gets created. You don't have anything left. Your trend is broken there. And then you would go back into your legacy trends, which are even interior to this moment, and you would say, okay, so fine, you have like this to this right here. I think we need to use a 4-hour time frame, not a 1 here. I think we need to use the actual proper time frames. So accumulation, this is the top. So that should be to accumulation. Yes, of course. So to the accumulation candle, and fine, you have your first trend. So viscosity is high. This goes here. Viscosity is medium high. Viscosity is kind of medium low, right? Like we're going to move these trends properly. Accumulation to accumulation. Actually, I would like to see maybe if this is the daily high. I think I'd have to actually do a little bit more work here. I think this is the daily. Yeah, so daily points, that's fine. Viscosity of the move, right? What's creating the final low, which is you've got your moment right here, and so you've got like a more of a we're going to delete this here. We're going to keep that there. We're going to delete this one here. We don't need that one anymore. We don't need these interior trends because we've already kind of gone over these. And then even this should be like this, right? You don't even have like, there was another one in there. Okay. We can even like viscosity high, high medium or medium low. And as this is fanning out, like this is the final hold because all this stuff in here is tested. Like, look, this is tested here. Sure, that's tested in this range. This is kind of like the final range to be tested, which creates its own independent little part of the move here, which is backside is tested here, front side is tested here. So this is kind of The final low creates the final hold in the move, right? So then we go here, and I believe this was the tested level, right? So yeah, we can just leave that range there for now. Let's see. Let's take a look. 4-hour candle, and even here would be like your 4-hour greedy point. This was tested here. Is this backside tested? 72.42. So that's the value there. So backside's tested there. Is the front side tested? The final hold in the move. And you have the final trend with the final hold. And actually, I would assume the final hold is here because that final trend creates that final hold. So your final hold is going to be inside of this range here somewhere. So what we're going to do is put this here and work downwards to see where the actual level is, which is right there. You could go greedy and be right here, I suppose, like something in this range here. Right there, I would say. It actually does hit the greediest point. Right here, this has been already tested, right? So it can't be this. Could it be this? Oh boy. That would be tough. It's going to be one of these front sides because backside, front side, like you have backside here. Backside is tested, front side is not. Backside is tested, front side is not. So trend is the delimiting factor here, right? You lose trend, you lose this level, it breaks below trend. I'm assuming this is a hard close above this trend, right? Let's flip the chart back over. Hard close that trend, move is gone, right? Polarity. And then it's up 6-7%. So even this would have been like a great trade, just to say like, oh yes, of course, look, this is your final hold level, there's your final trend. And so completes the picture of part of the move. And even right now in this move, as we sit right now, I'm not really sure where we are in this move, but even now I would go like this and I would say, okay, your first trend is here. This is an interior trend. Let's maybe even do it on a 3-minute chart. Your first trend is there. Your next interior trend is here. And this is the beauty. They're not encumbered by exterior events. You can create them to exist for 5 minutes at a time and just delete them. Are we current in the move here? No, we're not. So let's see what happens. You would not expect to get over top of this, but this hold level's already been hit. So possibly this one that's been hit. So possibly, something in here that's been hit. I would simply just say this right here. We would just simply go back to this one to say, okay, final moment in the move. And you could probably, even as long as you're laddering off this high point here, it's fine. It actually does get hit. Perfect. Which actually gives us our first swing against what could be a larger piece of the move here, right? Because now we have interior trends are completely unencumbered by anything, right? So you can see how that trend gets followed, likely to this here. Trend breaks up. I'd actually like to see what the 5-minute looks like. So then you have that there against this right here. But you can see the bottom side trend that's being lost, like base of the mover here. You can see, I guess we leave it where it was because that seems like it was accurate. So that's, your first trend. I think this is going to be a little awkward to do on this time frame. So I'm just going to put it here. So this is kind of like first trend is lost there. Here's the low of this trend. Second trend is about to be lost here. So you can see how like the viscosity is already getting affected against the exact same cycle that we just created. Now, whether this is the final part of the move or not, we simply go back into here. Our range exists somewhere from the top of this to the bottom of this. So like you've got some range in there. So then you're just really range finding, like you're doing what's called range hunting, right? So then your range becomes something like this to this, right? Like that's your range. We had this marked here, but really your range exists here somewhere. So we can just widen this out to kind of find the smarter levels. You've got the 4-hour backside right here. You can go deeper into this, start to find backside, frontside combination levels. So then you'd have something like this, 78.02, 78.06 or 7 or something like this. This would be kind of like the front side level. You got backside there, front side there, greediest point here. That's the top of the move there. So this is kind of like the beginning of the greedy point. Start of it. Right? You've got some kind of front side, backside combination right there, which just starts the whole process over with trends. Go inside here and find it. Possibly right there. That's still the backside. Could have backside, frontside combination right here. So backside, front side, front side. So the first red is backside, second red is backside, front side. Oops, I don't want to move that. I would expect it to hit some greedy level. So yeah, that's exactly what it hits. The backside frontside combination level. So greedier than this backside, because I just don't think this backside is high enough. I think when you look at this candle here and you see what the range looks like, and really you can kind of use these body points as the there's some type of greedy level there. I think this is way too low, and I think this is way too high. So you have to start to find the delimiting levels between, right? Like the balance between greedy and not. And then it's a chart architecture in the moment. Like, what is it breaking to get to where, right? Yeah, just go straight after that level. So really either of these two levels would have been actually quite okay. 77.20 or this one 77.57. So you actually have the backside or the front side here. Now, whether you have the front side and you got super greedy, maybe you front ran it a bit and caught that knife. Actually, it looks like the backside is hit and it just has a little bit of a bleed over because, oh, that's trend. Sorry. No, so that's not even a level. It's actually just looks like this 77.58 level just got front ran a bit. I'm wondering if we're missing anything in here. Usually when something doesn't line up, there's a level that you just simply moved over. So we're going to cheat here a little bit. I don't usually cheat on my charts, but we're just going to cheat here to find the level. So possibly this right here. I'm wondering if maybe this is like a higher time frame that we missed. Yeah, that could be a higher time frame here. Like it could be like the 6 hour. Let's go take a look. No, it's not that. So what did we miss here? 4 hour level. It's fine. So it's technically it should be in this candle here. Really seems like we just mismarked the level. Was that what it hit? 77.35? Like, let's make sure this is right first before I go. Right. Yeah, that is the level, 77.35 there. It's just, what did we miss? So whatever this is that front run that? Yeah, so that looks like the level, but we just simply missed something. Like it's not rocket science here. It's just we simply missed something. Yeah, so there's a valley right there, backside, front side. So it was simply just a 15-minute level. That was one of the combinations. You've got the larger backside here. This is untested, 78.12. Backside, front side right there, which actually ends up being taking this one over here into this range here. So somewhere like this. So you're kind of 3 levels: backside, front side combination, and then your actual front side. So the backside to the backside, front side, and then the front side of the level. So you have your 3 levels there. So I think we just simply didn't mark it properly. And that just gets what, front run by a few dollars. So the high of this was really not relevant for this lesson, but I do like to be exact. So 77.50, and this was 77.58. So that makes sense. So people just front ran it to 77.50. It's very, very common. Or maybe on Binance, the levels hit differently. I think the levels hit differently because on my Binance charts, I have it marked at 78.02 and it hit it to the T. So there's some level in there that got hit on one exchange and just the other one followed suit. So yeah, very, very simple. But anyways, this wraps up interior trends and what we learn with interior trends. So I just go back to this and say, you have this defining criteria of what is trying to be created. Where's the final low of the move? Has the final hold been created? And again, just to recap, the final low has to be hit first because that's the greediest level in the move, like right here. We're just going to put this on top of the yellow line. We're going to delete all these trends that we have. We no longer need them. Delete that. Delete this one. Delete this one. Delete this one. We're going to delete some of these levels as well. Just clear this up a bit here. That stuff we don't need. Probably just delete a big chunk here. And I hope it keeps a lot of our information. Yeah, it does. Good. Really, we go, has the final low been hit, which is your greediest hold level? When that gets hit, it will create the final hold of the move. So the final hold will be created. We measure this by saying how much viscosity does it have? Is it still relatively strong, or has this trend been broken multiple times? And every time it breaks, we have this mental counter, this visual counter, and we say, okay, high, medium, low, et cetera, because the more times it breaks, the further it's fanning out, which means the further levels it's testing and so forth and so forth. How many times has it been broken? So like how much viscosity does it have? And what is it trying to create, right? So the kind of the questions we ask ourselves trend. So again, the anchoring pieces, has the final low been hit? If it hasn't, you can assume it will be. And if that final low doesn't hold, you're obviously breaking that piece of the move. Like when this final weekly, when it's low of the move, like just to kind of go in here and say, oh, it had its own interior trend like this, distribution to distribution, and that broke here and that broke there, and it created its final low. And that could quite possibly be, actually, this would be accumulation to accumulation. I messed that up. It would be here to here, like this. You know, how much does this trend have left in it? And it was sort of in here to here. So this trend would have been first, broke once, broke twice, broke 3 times, right? And viscosity, right? How much does it have left? Which would be a weekly trend here. Like this would be something along the lines of this, right? Like, which actually the weekly trend hasn't even been created yet. Right there, we'll turn this one purple. We're still in this right now. We still haven't created this, which just furthers my point that we haven't even seen distribution ending on this, because now we should kind of pull back to here, right? Like this, and at least create some kind of swing that can test this inverse and create something against this trend out here. But without worrying about these larger term variables, really the key here is, you know, has that final low been hit? Has it been created? How many times has your trend been broken, and has that created the final low? And even here, you have an interior trend right here. What I'd like to do actually is, before we go, I'd like to say, okay, accumulation to accumulation right here, and that hard closes to this point right here. So this is kind of your very, very first interior trend on a higher time frame. So it's broken once, broken twice. Let's make sure we do this properly, actually, instead of just assuming that it's done right. So accumulation to accumulation, hard closes to here. So it's broken once, there's twice, swing high here. There's 3 times. At this point, you're at your final hold level, which visually is right here. So this is your final hold level, creates your final low, creates your final hold. So whatever is inside of this cannot break. And when it breaks, and you could be right here, which is already tested. So then somewhere inside of this candle right here, you'll have your final moment before this thing breaks. Somewhere inside of this, which I think we already diagnosed this anyway. So, you know, you'd have this, which was already tested. Maybe you have this, which is that final moment right here, maybe, but it's already tested. So if this is tested, then you're right here, and this is kind of your final moment, and you break over top of this. I think this is your moment of polarity, because it's your final untested level, which technically would have something inside of this candle then. So you have to hold the range inside of here. I'm sure there's some ultra greedy range that once this breaks, the move is done. Right here, maybe. One of these two. We could just leave it there and press play as a final wrap up to this lesson. Once this breaks, the move is pretty much gone. Which, again, will just have its own interior trend to trend like that, right? It's not exactly accurate because we're doing this while it's moving. So right from there to here, the viscosity of the final part of the move, which has, oh yeah, you see, it's perfect. The final hold in the move before this thing breaks up with a vengeance, because there's nothing left. There's nothing left in the move. So I think that's a really great demonstration on a beginning to advanced trends, exterior and interior pieces, and the defining factor of them. The interior pieces test polarity as to where the exterior pieces create polarity, as you guys can see on the charts, as we discovered today. And the interior moments can exist completely unfractured or unencumbered by anything else. They can exist independently, and they just simply dictate what's happening in the moment. So if you have a hold level right here, this hold level is going to be tested by this trend. So it breaks once there, it goes to here, breaks a second time, goes to here, it breaks a third time, has its final hold. The final hold gets created when you go like this right here. So you have final hold, final trend. The move is gone after that. So